Evening, y'all. How's it going? Welcome to another Lockdown Live chat. As usual, joined with my awesome co-host, joined all the way from Johannesburg, Mr. Alec Lyle. How's it going?
It's going good.
Holy shit. It's a release.
Yes, it's a release.
He's 500.
Finally. That's a Shadow Morn album or EP, whichever way you want to break it down.
Yeah, we can have that debate all night. I call it an album, the label calls it an EP, so whatever. Yeah. It really doesn't matter.
How many songs are on there?
7.
7. Shit, that's a tough one.
Exactly. There you go.
I have this conversation with my mate in Cape Town, Mark, all the time. Like, what comprises an EP and what comprises a single and what comprises an album? I'm like, there's somewhere along the line, there's like ground where you're like treading on both.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. And I actually used it as like a semi-marketing tool to, I asked that question on a whole bunch of different groups and everyone sort of argued. People were like, how long is it? How many tracks is it? So it was quite a cool thing to do. Just also on that note, you mentioned singles and EPs. There's something that I taught Lyle and the PR agency that Lyle uses. It's a format called a D45. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Carlos.
No, not at all.
It might be something cool for you guys to use going forward. D45 comes from the digital 45, which was, the 45 was a way of referring to a certain vinyl that rotated at 45 RPMs, and you could only have 2 tracks on it. So people have started using D45 as instead of releasing a single, you release 2 tracks as like a promo thing. So it's kind of
cool. I've seen a lot of that on Spotify.
Yeah.
The future. So anyway, like with that being said, and go grab the Shadow Morn album. It's available across all platforms. Go grab it on Bandcamp.
Only physical for now. It's coming out on the 16th.
Only on Bandcamp right now, amid everything. But yeah. We're bringing it back down to bands after 3 weeks of intense PR discussions, and we do thank our guests for that. But yeah, what better way to bring it back down to heavy metal than bringing a new face to the chat, but hardly a new face to the SA Metal Massive. We're joined by frontman, high-pitched shredder, screamer. We're joined by none other than Jessie Switchblade of Deadline. Welcome, Jessie. How's it, man?
How you doing? Good. Thanks for having me, man. I'm good under the circumstances.
Man, what a perfect segue, because we usually start all of our chats right at the beginning of lockdown. Everybody in South Africa, most people in the entertainment industry shit the bed. How was the morale in the Deadline camp, and also yourself personally when this started, and now I guess, well, now that we're in lockdown level 4 again, 15 months later, how's it now for you guys?
Well, I can tell you that 15 months ago, we had a whole different band. So we've most probably been the busiest band during this fucking lockdown, I think worldwide. I mean, we've released, so last year, June the 26th, in fact, a year ago. What's today, the 28th? Yeah. Exactly a year ago, we released our second album, Cathedral Point. Then in September, our one guitarist immigrated with his family. We'd already had his replacement. His replacement actually had started already 2 years earlier, Judgmental. So we didn't need to replace him. Then a month and a half later, we lost our bassist, Baz. He was then replaced by Damien from A Nameless Dread. Damien Dread, that's his stage name. We decided to keep it in the family. And then that got us to the end of last year, where we decided to record an EP of covers and reworked tunes that we did. Like we did some acoustic covers of some of our tunes and a synthwave cover of one of our tunes. And then we released that. When did we release that? Now in April the 23rd. Immediately after that, we lost our drummer. He also immigrated. So we do have his replacement. We haven't announced him yet, but he will be announced sometime in July. But it's been a mess. So we basically, I don't know if we're still Deadline or if we're a tribute act now, because there's just 2 original members, myself and the Sculptor on guitar.
That's crazy busyness.
Not that we wanted it to, you know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. It comes with
But
the
life happens, and you've got to go with the, you know, sort of go with the flow and play each ball where it lies, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I'm really glad about is that you guys are still like going for it. You know, like it's very when bands lose members, it's very often a thing that like the rest of the members are disheartened.
Yeah, you know, so the whole idea behind the band is we've tried to keep it as much, you know, sort of as tightly knit as possible. So even with Raven Chaos not being here and him having immigrated, he still remains in our band group. He still runs a lot of our band stuff. So for example, he's still sort of in touch of, he puts all our stuff online he works through CD Baby and does all of that for us. He still answers our emails. So we keep him still involved because ultimately it was his band. He formed it. With Dizzy Sticks, who's now left, he's still running our bank account. He's living in the Netherlands now, but in a way, he's still connected. So, and each replacement that we got in their place has basically been handpicked by either one of them or basically myself. So, and it's always been guys that we get along with, guys that we know will sort of be good with us on stage. Because I mean, a big thing of our game is our live energy and our live show. So we need someone that's going to obviously be able to fit in and carry on that. So it's been interesting, but I mean, look, we've got a really good band now, like a very, very talented band. Damien is phenomenal on bass. Our new drummer is a session muso producer. In fact, he's got 18 top 40 hits on 5FM.
Sure.
So as you can see, he's not from a metal band. He's from an indie pop band. So yeah, I think the band where it is now, skill-wise, I think we're in a very good point. Obviously now we're gonna need a few gigs under our belt, which of course Mr. Ramaphosa is not allowing us, but we'll get there. I think the important thing is, I mean, for us, it's always been a passion project, a big family thing. So it's never been about recording albums. It's never been about being number one. It's never been about being the best. It's always been about, like, we're all much older. So it was always, for us, it was always like a round of golf, you know, except with way cooler, with fans and music on the internet and shirts.
Shirts. That's awesome.
I love merch.
So you mentioned now, like, Deadline's at a new sort of almost tribute-esque state, but maybe let's take it back to the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about the formation of Deadline, like a little brief history, and also how you guys came up with the name?
You're asking the wrong guy about the name, eh? I absolutely hate my band's name. Yeah, I've been fighting this name since I got here. So basically, it started when Raven taught Baz. He basically, look, Baz has always been a big metalhead, never played an instrument. So Raven he actually auditioned for my old band Gunship, and he didn't get in. Don't tell him, but his audition was terrible. No, he knows. And we were a thrash metal outfit, and he's always been more of a rock guitarist, and played me a few of his riffs, and I was like, you know what, why don't you start a band? You know, you got some nice stuff. Don't go piggyback off other people. You've really got some catchy riffs. So yeah, he got Baz on board to teach him how to play the bass, and then he came back to me a few months later, and he's like, would you mind writing vocal melodies and lyrics for the songs? I was like, sweet, not a problem. And then when I looked again, I was in the band, man. I didn't want to be in the band. I actually, it frustrated me because, and I mean, no disrespect to any of the guys, but the band I was in before, like, the guys were super talented. And at the time, I just was struggling to like, you know, gel with Baz, with Raven, all the guys. But the reality is we all sort of sang from the same hymn sheet. Whereas with my previous band, we were firing each other and quitting every second week. It was like, we were a Metallica tribute act, and we acted worse than Metallica, let me tell you. We were like, it was just... So after a while, like, you know, I think after a few beers, the one night I told Raven, I'll never quit your band. I made a promise. And here I am, 7 years later. In fact, I took the band over. Jeez, I started running the bloody thing. But yeah, so the name actually, funny enough, it came from a Testament song off the album The Ritual.
Cool.
There's way better Testament songs, I must just tell you guys. Not only songs, but with better names. But here we are, we're fucking Deadline, and there's like 700 other bands in the world called Deadline.
Well, okay, so we looked at like what you're calling a pretty common name. What isn't common are the names of the albums. The albums and EPs all very unique and stuff. So I mean, obviously, I think it'd be kind of cool if we can maybe just like backtrack, because I mean, you guys have always been more focused on the live performance, but you have actually put out some nifty releases. So maybe you can break down like a little bit of the meaning behind the albums. Let's start with Black Wolf City.
So everything we do is based on a graphic novel idea that I've had in my head for many years. That is semi-developed. I could just never find an illustrator that wanted to go in 50-50 with me, because I was like, just want to get paid a lot of money for, and they don't want to contribute. So yeah, I've had this idea which I might turn into a novel, depending on if I ever come right. And the idea basically is, and it's basically the concept behind all our albums, all our merch, and our stage names. The whole story is basically about a girl called Lady Blitzkrieg, and she gets fired from Deadline. And so the whole idea is she returns to San Lombardo, which is this fictitious city in this graphic novel. And she returns to extract revenge on Deadline, kill every single member. So you'll see in Black Wolf City, on the cover, she's standing with this machete in her hand. Hold on. We've actually got that over here. Hold on.
Oh, hell yeah.
Where is she? Where is she? So she's standing with a machete in her hand. There we go. Ready to kill Deadline.
Yeah.
Club over there. Club El Diablo. So that's a club that's owned by Deadline. So she comes back to basically extract her revenge. So Black Wolf City, the reason is she had 2 wolves, and when she was excommunicated, she lost her wolves. So apart from hunting for Deadline, she's also hunting for wolves. So we chose to do that cover sort of very movie noir kind of focus, because we wanted to stay away from the sort of overused heavy metal themes of fire and blood and pentagrams, and so we wanted to do some. So when you look at this cover, you don't automatically think it's a heavy metal band, you know. So that's the thing. Part 2, Cathedral Point, is basically a continuation to the story. It's an abandoned cathedral where Deadline seeks refuge to hide from Lady Blitzkrieg. Fuck, I don't have anything with Cathedral Point, but you'll see she's also standing there at the gate. You'll also see in that cover one of her wolves is there. So album 2, she finds her one wolf. And then the third album is a continuation. She loses the one battle to Deadline, but as you can see, she's killed 3 members as they're not with us anymore. And so the next one will be the continuation of her sort of, there's a whole story about a corporation that's going to help her out to destroy Deadline, because they've got sort of the same goals in mind.
And that's Abigail's Crypt. That's
EP. So Abigail's Crypt is just sort of, it's like it's a crypt inside Cathedral Point. So the whole story of Cathedral Point is Abigail Calloway was raped and murdered in a confessional in Cathedral Point. So we use that as kind of a side story before we get to the 3rd volume, which in effect now is the 4th volume.
Cool.
And the cool thing is with Baz, Raven, and Dizzy leaving, we're gonna play it pretty cool, like, you know, that she's got on hold of them and she's killed them. And with each replacement, so Judgmental, Damien Dread, and the drummer, they're all going to be part of the bad guys. So in effect, it just leaves myself and the Sculprit as the last 2 good guys in Deadline.
That's awesome,
man. I can see this. I can see this discography ending up being a mega box set with a book.
We all just got to stay in South Africa, man. The problem is to keep members in South Africa.
100%. You've mentioned obviously now a bit of the lineup shakeup. So you replaced Baz Steele with Damien Dread. How's the extreme metal guitar virtuoso handling the bass duties?
Very well, eh? First of all, he's brought a bloody fretless bass to our band room. I think it's a 5-string. He did come with a 7-string bass the other day, but we were like, nah, fam, you don't need 7 strings for us. No, but he loves it. Look, Damien and I have, we've been chatting for quite some time already from his days in Sordid. The band Deadline has played the most with is Sordid. I think we played 16 or 17 times together. And so we grew quite close to him. And I always told him I wanted to start a project with him because he's got a very good ear for all metal, even though obviously his speciality is tech death. So he slipped in pretty nice. And look, he's brought a whole new dimension. You know, Baz was more of an entertainer than a bass player. You know, he learned how to play the bass. I think he learned the bare minimums, unfortunately. And but I mean, look, he was a great performer. And with Damien now, we've got the full package. He's a great performer and he's super talented. And he's, I mean, he mixed and mastered. He tracked, mixed and mastered the Nameless Dread album, and I think the work he did was pretty good. So he actually co-produced Abigail's Crypt along with Mike, our producer. Yeah.
Epic. Well, let's stick on Abigail's Crypt. Like obviously, most recently you guys did do an epic cover of Dio, really to justice, and you know, rest in peace. I think he would be super proud. But let's talk about one of the more controversial tracks, if you will, from it. A very interesting cover of Ghost, Square Hammer.
Yeah,
now, obviously, Ghost is a bit of a polarizing band. I mean, you either love them or you hate them. Obviously, yourself and or a number of the other guys in the band like dig their stuff. So kind of explain. I mean, we're like, they are known for being an epic live band, but what is it that gravitated you towards that track?
So that is the track that got me to like them. So I was one of the guys that absolutely did not like Ghost when they came out. I was like, look at these oaks playing ABBA-esque music, you know, under the guise of, you know, Satan, you know, dissing the Catholics again. It's like, so it's been done so many times, you know, Venom, King Diamond, all that shit's been done. And so not that I'm religious at all. I renounced Catholicism years ago, but I find that gimmick a bit stale, to be quite honest with you. I got the chance to watch them once or twice, and I don't know, maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind, and I felt that it was they were pretty weak. And anyway, fast forward to them releasing Square Hammer. I think Square Hammer is one of the greatest songs ever written. It's right up there with U2's One, Metallica's Master of Puppets, Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark. Like, it's so good. It's just so groovy. And so we decided, I mean, look, we all got into them. A lot of us got a chance to watch them live together. And we were like, let's do it. We wanted to do a more modern metal song. So everything we try to do is to just try and get more people to come to the shows. You know, there's no use covering Megadeth and Judas Priest if the kids out there don't want Megadeth and Judas Priest. So we had already done some Guns N' Roses, some Dio, some Priest, some Maiden, the Billy Idol track, which we did to get more girls into the crowd. We're one of the bands in South Africa with the biggest female attendance per show. I must just tell you this. And normally it's because of Rebel Yell. So we thought, you know, what are we going to do? We were toying around with covering a Korn song. We were toying around with covering a Machine Head song. We were toying around with covering a Trivium song. And we thought, you know what, let's do Ghost. And the reason we sped it up the way we did is because it's kind of tongue in cheek because of all the guys, you know, like everyone that says they're not a metal band and they shouldn't be in the Metal Hammer and blah, blah, blah. So we decided to metal it up and we gave it a bit of a 200 beats per, or 180 beats per minute glam rock sort of metal, speed metal kind of version.
Awesome.
Yeah, worked well.
Thanks. They're a bloody good band, man. I think that this Papa Mauritius, what's his name, Tobias Forge, is a modern day Marilyn Manson. Writes very intelligent. Like Marilyn Manson's very good at writing 2 good lines that in every song that just stick. And Tobias Forge does the same thing. It's not like Danny Fulth will write like 7 pages, you know. Also 7 brilliant pages, but the way that Tobias writes reminds me a lot of Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, that's awesome. You and I are both synthwave fans. So I guess it was natural for you guys to work on a synthwave cover, namely Cybertops and Synth Belts. How was the process working on that track?
Sorry?
Did you not catch that at all? What did you miss?
No, just the end. What did you ask?
How was the process working on that synthwave?
Oh, you know, so again, a lot of this EP really was we wanted a bit of a stopgap between albums, because I mean, you know how it is. Well, I mean, mind you, not you. You release 500 songs a year, so you don't know how it is. But like when you get very busy with life, you often tend to. I mean, it took us way too long between Cathedral Point and Blackwell City, so we wanted to release something. And when we decided to do the Ghost and speed it up, it really was kind of like we were taking the piss a bit. And then we just carried on. We were down that road. We were like, imagine our old school heavy metal band releasing a synthwave track. You know, we knew we were going to polarize fans, but I mean, like I told you from the start, when we were in this band, we never did it to win awards. We never did it to, we just, you know, we did it to feed our own souls. And if people bought into it, so be it. If they didn't, you know, what can you do? So we decided to take one of our tracks and do a synthwave version. It was myself and our producer. Took us quite long. Got no feedback from most of the guys in Deadline because they staunch metalheads, especially old Damien. Whenever we asked him for feedback, he just growled. He was very happy. But I'm glad we did it. We got some pushback. There's a lot of people that don't like it at all. I think it came out quite nice. We decided to add sort of some dark wave, Depeche Mode-esque, the Smiths, like Morrissey kind of vocals, just to kind of sort of introduce it to the goth peeps as well. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, our first sort of venture into that, and I think it came out all right.
Definitely did. What's interesting is, like, I've always considered synthwave and dark synth like the electronic music that would still appeal to metalheads. So, like,
yeah, I know.
Dossie's brother watched Dance with the Dead in London, and apparently it was just a whole bunch of people wearing like black metal and death metal t-shirts in the crowd. That's like what the crowd was. So, well,
a lot of, you know, so, you know, you'd be surprised, you know, we like to think that there's a big divide between metalheads and people that listen to electronic, but there really isn't. Years ago, I got into psychedelic trance, you know, like the dark side trance and all that type of stuff. And the majority of peeps I was finding in the bush that were listening to it were all old school metalheads. Eights that were into Bolt Thrower, Sepultura, Death, Megadeth. They just got tired of the same type of stuff, and they chose to explore. And because they were already open to that sort of darker type of music, it was easy for them to go down that path. And you see it a lot with synthwave. You see it a lot even with dark techno in Europe. I mean, you got a lot of techno heads that love Gojira and love Opeth and that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, I mean, I guess let's pull away a little bit from the electronic. Let's jump back onto the stage, if you will, because if there's one thing that, like we mentioned earlier, Deadline's kind of known for, it's the high octane live sets that you guys kind of bring out. It's almost ludicrous on how energetic and like visceral it is when you guys get up on stage. So obviously you see it in a lot of almost the rock star mentality with guys like Alice Cooper and stuff, where they have to turn on a switch from being on stage and off stage. Is there a certain routine or a headspace that you guys have to get into when it comes to that, or is just like, have a shot, let's go?
Not at all. As long as you go to gym 4 times a week, you'll be fine. There's a running joke that you can't be in Deadline if you don't gym. So poor Damien was he was very sad when we told him he needed to get a membership with Virgin Active. No, you know what? I think the most important thing with us, and I mean, I can't emphasize it enough. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we're really old, but when we started this, the majority of us were in our middle 30s, and I hadn't been in a band for before Gunship, I hadn't been in a band for 12 years. So I've given up on it, and to have been given this opportunity with Gunship and to do the stuff we did with Gunship and then going into Deadline, I always told the guys, I was like, you know, at every single show you've got to pretend like we've just sold out Donington Park. You know, we're not going to go up with shorts on stage like we've just come out of a braai. We're going to wear our battle jackets, we'll wear our bullet belts, we'll wear our high tops. We've got to look good, we've got to look the part. We need, we've got a few props. I use my Pope hat when I sing the Ghost song. I've got my cross on stage. I've got a 2-meter long chain for Break the Silence. It's like, why should they watch us? You know, what's going to make us stand out? Especially because the sad fact is we're playing outdated music. You know, we're playing old school 80s, 90s heavy metal, and the majority of the scene doesn't actually like that. But the majority of the scene likes watching us because of what we do. Often you'll ask them, what's your favorite Deadline song? They don't even know. They'll tell you Rebel Yell or Holy Diver. you know. But the reality is we put on a package. Like for us, it's very important to sort of exude that rock star mentality, because I don't want to be. I mean, this is going to sound pretty egotistical, but I don't want the guys to come up to me after the show and be like, hey, buddy, you know, can I get you a beer? I want them to come up to me and say, yo, bro, you remind me of the time I watched Metallica. You know, they must kind of feel, there must still be a divide between us and the fans, even though sadly we are also the fans. But, and that's what we've always wanted to do. So for us, I think, and we're very privileged, you know, like again, at our age, 35, 36, 37, I'm 42 now, to be able to do this. So every time I get up on stage, it's like, fuck it. If this is going to be our last show, then I'll break my back if I have to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
in the words of D. Snyder, for the love of metal. That's you know.
That's it. And the thing is also, I can't sit still, man. That music possesses me. Oh, it's you guys know how beautiful metal is, man. When it starts working its way through your veins.
100%. So lots of bands write material in different ways. Some guys like to jam it out, and some people, like I've always been in bands that like songs are really structured almost before you even get to practice. So I was wondering, what approach do you guys take to your music? Is it like jam sessions that then get structured?
So I'm a bit of a look, I don't know, it just turned out this way, but I'm a bit of a tyrant. I don't write anything, but it won't get recorded if it doesn't go through me. It kind of that's just how it happened in the band. I've got a very strong personality, and from day one, like the guitarists would contribute. Obviously, they write the songs, and off the bat, I'll tell them, look, this is too many verses here, or this needs a bridge. I don't like the arrangements here. Let's do this. And then, I mean, I wouldn't go back without ideas. I'll tell them, look, we need a bridge here. This is what I think it should be. I'm a very basic guitarist, campfire guitarist, but I've got a good ear for music, especially for catchy stuff. Because I mean, I'm not a muser, so I'm not gonna be playing all sorts of funny time signatures. You know, we're a basic 4/4 band anyway. So they'll write the riffs. Sometimes it comes with lyrics, sometimes it doesn't. I bring it home, I chew through it for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and then we take it back. Sometimes we'll get together and jam through it first. And sometimes when you jam through something, you realize, like, you know what, maybe the idea was not good after all. And then if we get to a point where we hit the wall, then we all sort of go through a bit of a process where we all contribute. But the way we basically do it is guitarists write, guitarists give to me, and then I just mix around with the puzzle. I find that, I mean, this is controversial, but it's true. I find that guitarists and writing songs is a bit of a mission, because they never pick their best riffs to play the most times, and they always play the one that they like, which is like generally not the best riff to play over and over. So I think it's sometimes important to just take the music away from them a little bit, and like, I'm more objective. I think when you write your music as a guitarist, especially, I mean, you'll know, you write a ton of music. Guitarists are very subjective.
Yes, 100%.
So, and it's worked for us. I mean, we're not trying to write a Gojira song. We're not trying to write an Opeth song. We're just trying to write some basic Judas Priest, Dio, Metallica, Megadeth kind of metal, you know.
You know, the meat and potatoes, you know, just catchy, make you
100%.
enjoy. You know,
And
that's what it's about.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, let's actually dip a little bit into the production as we lead to the end of this chat. You guys kind of bring, like you say, a little bit of that 80s live thrash, you know, type of energy to your recordings. It almost feels like a live band. I mean, do you want to maybe try and unpack the whole process of recording a Deadline track?
Yeah, so look, I mean, I think right at the start when we started this, like I told you, I mean, Baz was learning how to play. The guys had no experience with recording, etc. So our biggest thing is we spared no expense when it came to the recording, because we needed all the help we could get. So we tracked here with our producer in Joburg, and then we'd send the tracks to Heinrich at Burning Tone Records in Cape Town. And for the first album, the brief was very simple: make us sound like modern day, Accept, Primal Fear, that kind of vibe. We wanted that old school metal sound, but we wanted with sort of the newer production. I think the sort of the guys that we were looking at was Andy Sneap, Colin Richardson, that kind of the Andy Sneap vibe, which I think for the first album, our first album was kind of between metal, hard rock, and biker rock. Our second one was much more metal. So we were like, look, make us sound like we're playing live, man. I think our biggest, I mean, that's the thing, our biggest strength is our live show. Sometimes as messy as it can be. So we just wanted that to emanate or to resonate through. And that's why you'll see like a few of our songs, sometimes people listen to them and they're like, oh, I'm sure you recorded this 5 BPM too fast. And I'm like, we most probably did, but we wanted to make it sound like it is live. And this is why we did the Ghost like this, because when we play that track live, it's our second last song of the set, and we always hammer it. You know, it's balls to the wall. It's like, and we, even though sometimes, I mean, you always record things a little bit slower. We didn't want that. We wanted to sound like we do on a live setting.
Cool, 100%. Carlos, it's been really cool to chat and all about Deadline. And I mean, Jessie.
I was gonna, like, I didn't say anything. I was just gonna say, who the fuck is Carlos? Where is he?
Yeah. Who's this?
Bro, when you're used to talking to someone for years, it becomes very difficult to break that habit. But Jessie, yeah, it's been really great to have you on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time after like a busy work day to chat to us. Is there anything you would like to plug prior to us signing off?
No, just thanks for having us, for having me, and thanks for keeping our band relevant. If it's not for, you know, guys like you having these things, you know, these shows, these podcasts, these interviews, showing interest in us, downloading our stuff, streaming our stuff. Yeah, so thanks for showing interest in us. And for anyone who doesn't know who we are, you can follow us on Facebook. We're on what's our page name? Deadline Q9. And on Instagram and Twitter, we Deadline Metal. And you can check our stuff up. We're on Bandcamp. We're all over all what do you call it? What do you call Spotify and Deezer?
Streaming platforms.
Yeah,
all of those.
And we're on YouTube as well. Go check some of our videos out. They're pretty silly.
Yeah. We'll include links to all of that tasty stuff in the description. Jessie Switchblade, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we can have you guys and maybe the whole rest of the band in the future. So yeah, just keep on rocking. We'll keep on listening. And yeah, what about you, Dark Lord, Goth, Shadow, Morn? I mean, Alec, sorry.
The man of 500 bands.
What do you say, man? Should we wrap it up for another week?
Yeah, it's been great. Let's call it.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back same time, same place on the interweb next week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That helps. And yeah, just keep safe. Keep that social distancing. Hopefully this pandemic hoo-ha will be over soon enough. Keep well, guys. Take it easy. Laters.
Cheers, guys. Keep it metal.
Cheers, man.